Shalom, Israel. Elder Stephan here again with another class for you. And this class is going to be called The Man. So this class is going to give you a definition of what the man means in the Bible. This is a meat class. You have to use your spiritual understanding to understand this class. From here on out, we're primarily going to be teaching meat to give to the people so that they can start to understand what the Bible's actually saying. Now, we at Elders of Israel are primarily apostles to the Gentiles. That doesn't mean we hate Israelites and that we're looking for a fight with these Israelite camps. Anyone can listen to what we have to say. But most Israelite camps have already made up their minds that they are the only ones that will receive salvation. All right, so we turn to the Gentiles, which the Most High commanded us to do. We believe that the Most High commanded the Israelites to teach all nations, and those Israelite camps have refused to do that. He in turn sent them into slavery, both carnally and spiritually. Spiritually, he has brought again the captivity of Israel. Israel is captive to the different doctrines and philosophies that rule the world today, including the doctrine that only Israelites, the carnal seed of Jacob, will receive salvation. We believe that Israel is a spiritual nation of all races of people who follow the example of both Jacob and Christ, who have killed the old carnal man or woman and have converted to the new man or woman, the spiritual man or woman, that follows the spiritual commandments that Christ left us. Our job is to explain what I just said to the nation of Israel. If you have been following along in this series, you know that all nations are eligible to convert to Israel. The Most High does not respect the carnal seed only to convert. We have showed you countless examples of our forefathers, to include Christ, have taught all nations, and we have showed you what happened when they didn't. Most of the things we have taught you is considered meat, or an understanding of similitudes and parables of the Bible to get a full understanding of what the Most High is saying. We do this because Christ told us we needed to understand the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven in order to be redeemed. Most of the bishops, pastors, and leaders of the modern religious organizations don't understand the mysteries. Let's go to Matthew 13:10. The subject matter is the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. Matthew chapter 13, verse 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? So this is the disciples asking Christ a question about parables. Now, parables are similitudes, or where somebody's saying one thing, but it has a underlying meaning. So he's telling a story. They're asking, why does he speak where he's telling a mysterious story that most people can't figure out? All right. This is the answer Christ gave them. He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So he's telling you the Most High does not intend to redeem the wicked. The wicked boast to say that they're the only ones that's going to get the kingdom, and everybody else doesn't know what they know, and they know the Bible better than anybody else, but they're teaching the carnal law of Moses. They're not teaching the spiritual law, which is the mystery. That's what we teach. Verse 12. For whosoever hath the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, because that's the subject matter we're talking. For whosoever hath the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, to him shall be given the kingdom, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever have not the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. So he's not going to get the kingdom. That's what Christ is saying. It's all in red. Therefore, I speak to them in parables, because they see not. So they see what the mysteries of heaven, of the kingdom of heaven are, but they ignore them. And hearing the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, they hear not, neither do they understand. So they don't understand what the Bible's talking about. That's what he's saying. Verse 14. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah, which is Isaiah, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear and shall not understand. That's what's happening now. They don't understand the spiritual understanding. And seeing ye shall see and shall not perceive. They can't perceive the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, which is the spiritual understanding. They're stuck on the carnal law, which is Moses' law and Moses' interpretation of the law. For the people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed. So these people are ignoring the spiritual understanding of the commandments to their own detriment. Lest at any time they should see with their eyes and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, which is the mind, and should be converted, and I should heal them. He's healing you with this word. The word, his doctrine explains the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven. That's how you are healed. That's how you're able to kill the old man and convert to the new spiritual man. That's what he's telling them, but they're so arrogant they can't see it. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Okay, so that's a breakdown basically of what Christ is saying. He's saying you have to know the meat, the mysteries, in order to get the kingdom. That's what we're teaching. A lot of these people are teaching the old carnal law and the old carnal understanding of what the Bible's saying. Okay? So in order to understand the mysteries, you have to read the Bible with the spiritual frame of thought. As is our tradition, we will read from Job and Hosea to give you some understanding. We're going to go to Job chapter 11 and verse 6. And that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. So he's telling you there's two ways that the Bible was written. The Bible means something carnally, and it means something else spiritually. So you have to understand the spiritual, as Christ just told you, the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, in order to get that wisdom to be able to be redeemed. They're not teaching that. They're not teaching that in these Israelite camps. They're not teaching that in these churches. And the people are not being served, and they're not getting the understanding that they need in order to be redeemed. All right. We're going to go quickly to Hosea chapter 12 and verse 10. It's saying something very similar. I have spoken by the prophets, and have multiplied visions, and used similitude by the ministry of the prophets. So he's telling you, he made the prophets write the Bible in similitude. So it's telling you it's written two ways. If you read it one way carnally, you get a certain understanding. But if you read it spiritually, you get a more important understanding. That's the understanding Christ said that you have to have in Matthew 13 that we just read. The last time we met, we explained to you the definition of the word woman in the Bible. We showed you that the Bible uses the word woman in the context of a doctrine. Our class today is going to be about the definition of the man in the Bible. The Bible is written in the masculine form. So you assume when it says a man is speaking of gender, but it's not. It's speaking of both men and women, or humans, or mankind. But there's another context the Bible uses man in, and that is to represent a teacher. All right. So man means a human, but it also means a teacher, depending on the context in the Bible. And we're going to show it to you. In order to get the context of man, we have to start at the beginning in Genesis. So we're going back to Genesis 1. Okay? And we're going to start at verse 20. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Okay? So now it's a lot of stuff that was said there. He gave you a lot of terms, and we're getting ready to give you a better understanding of what it's saying spiritually. Right? You just can't read the Bible and it's saying something and you assume it means what you think it means, because he wrote the Bible a certain way. There's mysteries in what he said. So a lot of that stuff we're going to break down for you. Let's first get the water. The water is Ephesians 5:26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word. Ephesians 5:26 is telling you water means the word. Let's go to Proverbs 18:4. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 4. The words of a man's mouth are as deep waters, and the wellspring of wisdom as a flowing brook. So it's telling you again that water is a man's mouth, the words of a man's mouth. All right. So again, water is words. So it said something about creatures in those verses. Let's go to Romans chapter 1 and verse 25. Romans chapter 1, verse 25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. The creature is man. The Creator is the Most High. Okay? So the creature is man. When the Bible uses the word creature, it's talking about men. Let's go to Leviticus 11. We always end up in Leviticus 11 because it's telling you something. Leviticus 11 is talking about the prophets. So it says, Leviticus 11:2, speak unto the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which ye shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. So it's talking about beasts, creatures, and beasts. They're talking about men. Men are creatures and men are beasts. All right. So let's go to Mark chapter 16, verse 15. And he said unto them, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Okay? So it's letting you know that creatures are men. It said something about the creatures that have life. So let's find out what life is. John chapter 11, verse 25. Jesus said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. So he's telling you, he's the life. Christ is the life. John 14:6. Jesus said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Christ is the life. Christ is also the Word. So we're going to go to John chapter 1. He said you can't get to the Father but by him. That means he's the Word. The Word's going to lead you to the Father. All right. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Verse 14. And the Word was made flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. So the Word, Christ, is the life. Okay? That's the life. It talked about fowls or birds. Let's go back to Leviticus 11. We're going to go to verse 13. And these are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowl. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle and the ossifrage and the osprey and the vulture and the kite and his kind. And it goes all the way down and talks about all of the different types of fowl. All right. But the fowl represent men. The animals are people in the Bible. Okay. So it talks about air, the fowls of the air. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 19. So it's going to give you some comparisons. Okay. And you're going to get it at the end because you're going to be able to compare one thing to another. All right. The way of an eagle in the air. The way of a serpent upon a rock. The way of a ship in the midst of the sea. And the way of a man with a maid. If you saw the last video we did about the woman, you know a maid is a doctrine. It's saying that last thing is saying the way of a man with a maid, which is a man with a doctrine. So all of the previous comparisons is talking about the animal or whatever. The first comparison is a man. So it's saying the way of the eagle in the air means the way of a man with a doctrine. The way of the serpent upon a rock means the way of a man and a doctrine. The way of the ship in the midst of the sea is a man with a doctrine, because the sea is doctrine. That's where the doctrines are. The way of a man with a maid, a man with a doctrine. So it's letting you know that the air, the way of the eagle in the air, is a man with a doctrine. All right. So air means doctrine. Then it started talking about great fish and all that other stuff. We're going right back to Leviticus 11. You all have to, a lot of these leaders who teach the Bible, they got a lot of different fantasies that they're teaching that make absolutely no sense. Because it talks about whales and fish, right? In that in the Genesis 1 scripture. I have seen pictures of Jonah. Jonah was a prophet. They talk about Jonah and the whale. Okay. And Jonah, they'll show renderings of Jonah inside the belly of a whale with a table and a chair and a candle on top of the table. All right. Jonah wasn't inside an actual whale. Okay. That's not what it's talking about. That's a Jewish fable. That's a lie that people tell. They don't know what it means, so they make it up. All right. Because they don't want to seem like they're ignorant. They want you to believe that they know what they're talking about. So they'll tell you something stupid like the Most High actually put him inside the belly of a fish. It's not talking about that. Any man go inside the belly of a whale and that whale is underwater. Ain't no oxygen gonna magically come in that whale's belly. All right. Stop believing these lies that these people are telling you. Okay. Jonah is talking about a prophet that stopped teaching and he had to be retaught. Okay. I told you before, Leviticus 11 is talking about prophets. It mentions fish in Leviticus 11. It's talking about prophets. When he stopped preaching, the Most High had him retaught. The whale is a prophet. Okay? The whale is a prophet. He had to be retaught. He did the exact same thing these men are doing now. He refused to teach, and the Most High jacked him up. Then he got the right frame of mind. The Most High had to reteach him. He had to be retaught. That's what the whale is talking about. A whale is a prophet. Okay? Stop listening to these carnal men and these men standing behind these pulpits making up all these fairy tales and fantasies. And y'all going around believing foolishness. And y'all expect somebody to take you seriously. And you telling the story about a man sitting in a whale's belly. He had a table and chairs and a candlestick sitting on the table with a candle lit. Come on, man. I know y'all don't believe that stuff. That's not what it's talking about, okay? We're going to show you Leviticus 11, verse 9. These shall ye eat of all that are in the waters. I told you, these animals are prophets. The Most High is describing prophets, okay? Whatsoever has fins and scales in the water, in the seas and in the rivers shall ye eat. All right? And all that have not fins and scales in the seas and the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you. Now, they use the translation of whale in this book, right? But a whale doesn't have scales. But that's just the translation that they put in the Bible. But in the Bible, it talks about Leviathan. Leviathan has scales. That's what the Most High put Jonah in. So don't get twisted thinking that, well, a whale don't have scales. So why would the Most High put him in a whale's belly? It's not the Most High fault that these people translated the Bible to make, they use, well, it's a big fish. What's the biggest fish in the sea? Well, a whale. Which is a whale. I know a whale's not a fish. I know it's a mammal. But nonetheless, that's how men interpreted the Bible. He's not talking about a whale. He's talking about a big fish. He's talking about a prophet with scales. That's what he's saying. A righteous prophet that has scales and fins. Like he mentioned with Leviathan. Leviathan has scales. All right. So don't get mixed up. The Most High ain't trying to tell you, oh, you can learn from a whale which don't have any scales. He's not contradicting himself. It's the way that the Bible was translated. A man said, what bigger fish than a whale? And he put whale in there. All right. So let's continue. Let me show you the specifics about Leviathan. We're going to go to Psalms 104 and verse 24. O Lord, how manifold are thy works! In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. So is the great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping, innumerable, both small and great beasts. There go the ships. There is that Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play therein. These wait all upon thee, that thou mayest give them their meat in due season. So he's saying Leviathan gets meat in his due season. He's talking about a prophet. Let's find another one. 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 52. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the 7th part, namely the moist, meaning the water, and hast kept him to be devoured by whom thou wilt and when. To devour something is to eat something. The people gonna eat meat of Leviathan. That means he's a prophet. He's talking about a prophet. All right. All of the animals in Leviticus 11, the Bible is talking about the prophets. Those are the beasts, the prophets. Let's go to Psalms 74 and verse 14. Thou breakest the heads of Leviathan in pieces, and gavest him to be meat to the people inhabiting the wilderness. He's a prophet. Leviathan is a man. It's a prophet. Okay? Don't be tricked by these people telling you these Jewish fables. Leviathan is a man. It's a prophet. Okay? So we're going to go back and read Genesis 1, verse 20 again. So now that you have a better understanding what it's talking about. Genesis chapter 1, verse 20. The Most High said, let the water, understanding, bring forth abundantly, and moving creatures, men, prophets, that have life, meaning the wisdom, right? And fowls. Fowls are men. They're in Leviticus 11. They're prophets that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. That's in the air. We told you air is a doctrine, the way of the eagle in the air. The air is a doctrine. And the Most High created great whales. That's fish. Okay, again, when they translated it, they used whale. He's talking about fish because there's a scripture that says Leviathan has scales. Let's find that scripture before we go any further. We're going to go to Job chapter 41, verse 1. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord, which thou lettest down? So it's letting you know the subject is Leviathan. We're going to drop down to verse 15. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. Air, we just read, air is a doctrine. So it's telling you that Leviathan has scales. He's righteous. They are joined one to another. They stick together that they cannot be sundered. So it's telling you Leviathan is a big fish with scales. He's a prophet. He's saying you can eat Leviathan. So don't get caught up in about, well, it's talking about a whale. A whale has skin. It doesn't have scales. They mistranslated it. So you got to be able to understand what the Most High is saying. Don't go by what a man says. Go by what the scriptures say, precept upon precept. If you go precept upon precept, you're going to get the right answer. So let's go back to where we were. And it says, and the Most High created great whales, fish, men, and every living creature. We said creatures were men, prophets, that moves, which the waters, which is the seas, gathering of understanding, brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl, birds, men, prophets, after his kind. And God saw it was good. So everything we're talking about, remember we said this stuff was all done spiritually. That's why he said it was good. It was spiritual at the time. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply. Teach your understanding. That's what he's saying. Whenever he's saying be fruitful and multiply, fruit is meat. Teachers produce fruit. All right. So he's saying be fruitful and multiply. Teach your understanding and fill the waters of the seas, and let the fowl multiply in the earth. Increase the number of people with understanding. That's what that means. All right. So now let's move on. We're going to go to Genesis 1:24. All right. We're going to read a couple of these verses. So we're going to give you the understanding of what it's talking about. Genesis chapter 1, verse 24. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. All right, so he's making all of this stuff spiritually. Because remember, it doesn't become carnal until chapter 2. All right, but let's give you the understanding. Whenever he's talking about earth, he's talking about carnal doctrines. Genesis chapter 1, verse 10. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. So the dry land and earth means carnal doctrine. Earth and dry land mean the same thing. It's talking about carnal doctrines. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Again, he separated the spiritual from the carnal. All right. So that's what it's talking about when it's talking about earth. Next, it talks about beasts. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 18. I said in mine heart concerning the estate of the sons of men, that God might manifest them, and that they might see that they themselves are beasts. Beasts. All right. So men are beasts. When it's talking about beast, it's talking about men. 2 Peter chapter 2 and 10. But chiefly them that walk after the flesh in the lust of uncleanness, and despise government. Presumptuous are they, self-willed. They are not afraid to speak evil of dignities. Whereas angels, which are greater in power and might, bring not railing accusations against them before the Lord. But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. He's talking about men. He's talking about a particular man too. Primarily these men that's running these religious organizations. He called them natural brute beasts. Natural means carnal. Brute means brutish, means thug. Beasts, men are beasts. Carnal, thuggish men. That's who he's talking about. Let's go on to cattle, because he said something about cattle. Ezekiel chapter 34 and verse 31. And ye, my flock, the flock of my pasture, are men, and I am your God, saith the Lord God. So, when it's talking about cattle, flocks, he's talking about humans, followers. All right? We're going to go to Exodus. Exodus chapter 9 and verse 3. Behold, the hand of the Lord is upon thy cattle, which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain. So, sheep, ox, cattle. He's talking about men. All right. So we're going to go back to Genesis 1 and 24. And we're going to read it again. Now that you got these precepts, you should understand it better. Genesis chapter 1, verse 24. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creature after his kind. He's talking about men. Cattle, men. Creeping thing, men. And beast of the earth, men who have carnal doctrines. That's a beast of the earth. All right, so he's talking about those prophets, carnal prophets, after his kind. And it was so. God made the beast of the earth, carnal prophets, after their kind, and everything that creeps upon the earth after his kind, and God saw it was good. All right. So now you understand he was making men and teachers during that time frame. All of the animals we just read about represent humans. Now let's hear about a different human the Most High created, named Adam. He created him in their image, after their likeness. Notice I'm saying there. This is who was with the Most High in the beginning. The Bible speaks that Christ, the Word, was with him in the beginning. Wisdom and understanding was with him in the beginning. They use a feminine description of wisdom and understanding, where they were with the Most High in the beginning. Adam had all their attributes. This man is a son of God. A son of God is a follower and a teacher of God's doctrine. When the Bible talks about son, it's a follower of his father's doctrine. That's what a son of God is. He was taught by his father. Adam's father is the Most High. All right.